Okay, welcome back, everybody. Okay, our next speaker is Tina. Hi, Tina. Tina would like to talk without a microphone.
Can you all hear me?
Good? Good.
I hate those things.
Okay, well, that's fine. Well, this is yours.
Okay. So, as said, my name is Tina, and I never understood why people are putting on the first slide their photos, so I put my inner self to channel it out to you. I started in UX until 2012, then moved towards research, had my own studio, sold it, moved to Berlin. That's what you do when you sell stuff. And I worked in Slovakia, where I come from, with the first online bank, which was kind of funny to me, seemed really interesting. And I'm also the daughter of a banker. So I was really linked to finance since I was a young kid. And my mom is like pretty weird when it comes to finance. She has like 16 accounts, 5 for savings, 5 for investment. And it always got me curious, like, why is this happening? So that's why I got very naturally into topics of finance. And that's why I started to research on some financial psychology. But before we begin, first disclaimer, I am suffering under a huge stage fright, which means sometimes I get rude thinking I'm funny. So I don't mean to offend anybody, please. And I sometimes swear too much, like saying words like shit, fuck, and also sorry. That is the first disclaimer. And with the offending one, really please, to all German people in the room, Germans are a little bit different when it comes to financial psychology, and my research brought me to the weirdness of German nation and German people. So I don't hate you, I love you, I went to a German school, I like living in Germany, I'm enjoying it. It's just you are a little bit weirder than the rest of Europe.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, thank you, dankeschön. Also, so you know where this research is coming from, I joined Neugelb, which is a subsidiary of Commerzbank. And the planning when I joined wasn't really the best, so I was like a little bit bored. So I started to like, okay, let's see how people think about money, how they feel about money. So I started to research. And this research then I started later on to put into a new secret product. So this is also a tricky thing when it comes to the presentation. I can't tell you more, I just give you hints. And maybe between 4 eyes, I can tell you more what I do. The questions I was asking myself were, what does influence what do we do with our money? Why are we not happy when we have more money? This is coming to slow and fast thinking, to Kahneman. If we have more than 75,000 income annually, we are not any happier, so why should we earn more? Why do we not save, or why do we oversave? That's also possible. How do we not plan our financial life, or plan our financial life? Why do we make stupid financial decisions? And how can financial psychology help us to design a better product, of course? And this is your turn. You have Post-its here, you have some pens. You don't have to share it when you don't want to. I just want you to write one word or a few words when it comes to money. What is your first thought? What is the first word that comes to your mind? There have been research, of course, done in the whole world, what money means to people. The first thing is safety. How many of you have safety written down, or any kind of safety? Good. How many are going a little bit more far and have survival, or something in a meaning of survival? Good, we have that. Some people think it's evil, and 50% of Americans stated that money was the reason for the divorce. Heavy one. By the way, when you get the presentation, these are the studies you can follow or search for. Most of the research comes from it. Does anybody have something really weird you want to share? I'm not pushing you. Okay. Good. So when it comes to money problems are just a subset of living problems. When we are anxious about our money. when we are extroverted, we probably overspend, overgive ourselves, we overspend also our money. Money attitudes are created in our childhood, and as everything, it doesn't get any better. And when I was going from the desk research to some qualitative research, and as I'm doing this for over a year and a half, I narrow it down, or we narrow it down to 4 basic factors, which is national specifics, gender, age, and typology. The typological stuff is more going into the psychology, but I think, and okay, I'm biased because I'm a trained political scientist, but the national specifics very much affect how we think about money and how we perceive, because it's affecting us how the other society is doing as well. So let's jump right into this. The first thing when it comes to national specifics is trust. We have different trust towards different kind of things in different countries. And when it comes to Germany, the trust towards political system and institution is pretty much high. But when it gets tricky, it's the bank. It's very, very low. It's so low that Germany is on the 2nd place of distrust, of the highness of the distress all over the world. The first is Ireland, and then you have far behind Asian countries like Malaysia. The distrust is like even sinking. The first really, when it went really down, was after the financial crisis, and it never went back. But it's even sinking in the last 3 years. Only 25% of the German consumers still consider their bank to be trustworthy. So imagine you have a bank and only 25% of people, or you have customers and only 25% of your customers trust you. Only 33% of people agrees to trust digital solution in optimizing their finances, which is not a good news for any fintechs in Germany. And only 19% of the customers says they want to access a fintech financial services directly, which is good news for a bank who wants to run their own fintech. This is also coming from our research, what we done with on one quantitative study. I found really interesting to be that 47% of people just trust only themselves, and only 2% trust a startup in fintech. This is, I am pretty sure when I would run this study in Slovakia or in, I don't know, Greece, the numbers would be pretty much different. And then it comes to the beloved topic of all foreign people living in Germany, it's cash. And when you are like browsing websites for expats, you are really advised in like, be aware, this is not a digital or card affinity country. The Germans seems to have a deep distrust in having not money in their hand. I was in Zurich in Barcamp talking to a psychologist, and she also told me she sees a very big difference in Germans, how they show their money, how they have to have it really physically in their hands, in comparison to Swiss people who hide their money. They even roll. They have small banknotes, and they hide it even in their purses, which was for me interesting. I never saw it again. It's so different that almost 50% of Germans like to pay cash when shopping, and this number has increased since 2015. It's the only country where it increased. It's so different when you look at Germany and then you look at Sweden. Okay, Sweden is a different, on the different side of the spectrum, because in Sweden, I think 2025, they're expecting like 0.5% payments being cash. Now they have like 2%. But in Germany, people withdraw 4,700 euros in ATMs. In Sweden, it's just 1/4 of it. And when you compare payments for groceries, the ratio is 3:1, which means 15 million billions of grocery shopping. Wait a second, now I have to follow up myself. 15 million euros are paid by cash in grocery shopping, and 4.6 are paid by card. So the difference is pretty big. Not to forget, Germany is one of the most insured countries ever. You can insure everything. I was really surprised. I'm European, I'm a European citizen as well, but you can basically insure everything. And I'm going somewhere here. I don't want to smash German people or German nation. And then you have also a very interesting thing. The number of purchased products, which is Schließfächer, it's a safety box in banks, is rising, not only because there are many, the number of robberies in Germany is rising, but because Germans don't believe in saving products, there are very low interest on the saving products, and they don't believe those banks, which I mentioned before. And of course, you can insure a safety box. So it falls back to the history, not because I'm a political scientist, but every kind of research you're looking for, why is this happening? It goes back to history, but not so far history. It's coming to the financial crisis in 2008, where government had to intervene and buy off, for example, the bank, 15% of the bank where I work for. And it didn't rise very much from them. It's getting worse and worse. Then what I was really surprised, because this is something that I didn't expect. It's the secret service data gathering in the past as well. I'm coming from a post-communistic country, so probably we shouldn't trust each other that much as well. And we don't. It's a different thing in, for example, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary. The interpersonal trust is very low, which in Germany, this is high. But when it comes to banks and other institutions, it's getting lower and lower. And secret service data gathering, it's kind of logical when it comes to, like, when we imagine this is Europe, Germany was really the playground in Cold War. And combined with the recent evenings, the social media scandals, escaped emails from Angela Merkel, those all combined make this really a big thing for privacy for German people, where these are the paradoxes Germans have. When you are researching even more, you have this paradox, which is called the German paradox of privacy. It's this privacy in data, but being really strong in FKFK culture, which is also very interesting to see. And the last one, which is also very interesting, but it's coming from that we are not only earning genetic information, but we give information from generations to generations. It's the hyperinflation coming from the First World War, which was so high and so frustrating and such a big trauma for the German nation that it's still there. Money has to be tangible. Because when you see the kids are playing, building some towers from money, the bread is costing 460 billions Deutsche Mark, and this is just playing, again, with the money or sweeping of money from the streets. This is still there in germination in the mentality. Then we go to the age, which is also affected by the German mentality or by the history. When I came to Germany and started to work in finance, I had this strong hypothesis. Okay, young Germans, like any other young European people, prefer to pay with a card, which was proven wrong. Even the people being 21, 22, no. We want to stay paying in cash. You were saying it really nicely, because you have the control. You control your expenses. It's not all about the data, but it's about the control of the expenses. I can see it, it hurts me to give out the money. This is really what a user stated us in the interview. I see it, it hurts me. When I'm paying with a card, I don't see it, nothing is happening to me. It doesn't make the signal in my head. And this is the stereotype that we've proven right. But other stereotypes are not proven right, which is really interesting for me as well. Germans love to save. I mean, this is a common stereotype of German people. They are very savvy, not really. It's not, when we come to people under 30, the amount of young people saving for their retirement has fallen massively since 2010. On the other hand, while the number of people in debt rose at the same time, 1 in 7 under 30 is considered to be over-indebted. So it's not even bad, it's worse. And then gender, what blew my mind away, because I consider Germany to be a country which is a really strong feministic movement, and I feel very good as a woman here. The overall, in general, males are more obsessed with money. Females were more conservative and security conscious. Females believed that they had little control over, and this is what we see in every kind of research that we make with, we have our target group is young people. The girls really you can see a big difference how they feel of having control and how insecure and fearful they are. A good example is investing. Men trade more than women. The excessive trading of men leads to poor returns. Anyhow, 80% who are investing and trading, they make really bad returns. While both men and women earn poor returns, men perform worse. And the reason for it should be overconfidence bias, when we feel so confident that we are not looking on signals of doing wrong. When it comes to Germany, again, this curves to history. One is applied for any kind of nation, any kind of country. It's the mommy penalty. It's when you leave for maternity leave. You have this time period where you are not earning money, you are not saving for your retirement. And they were also, which really surprised me because I didn't expect this be a law till the 60s or 70s. Until 62, German women couldn't have a bank account. And until 74, they needed an allowance from their husband to be allowed to work. This is affecting as well. It's 50 years ago. It's not so far away when you imagine how long we are on this planet and destroying it. And there are two gaps in one belief. Germany is the 4th place of the biggest gender pay gap. So this is a big thing. And in the retirement, also Germany really is on the top places when it comes to the pay gaps. German men have a half as much retirement pay than women. Then we were reading about like generation switch of paradigm, and we were thinking, okay, younger German women will be more confident, will be more secure when it comes to money, will plan more. So we had this really strong hypothesis on young German women will have higher confidence and plan more for their finances. The confidence things didn't improve any. We could really see the same age, coming from the same social environment. And the boys were like, yes, I'm investing, I'm not having any returns, but I'm doing it, and I'm enjoying my money. The girls, yeah, it's 20-year-olds are from girls and boys, sorry. We're always like, I just want to see that I am okay. I'm checking my mobile app every day, so I'm seeing I'm doing okay and I can make it to another day. So the conclusion of it is they do plan more for their finances, but not because they are confident, but the opposite, because they are insecure and have a lot of fear. And the last thing is the typology, which finally brings us to the financial psychology, which I also brought some kind of definition. Financial psychology is a new field that integrates psychology with financial management. It's a different way to look at financial and emotional well-being and process beliefs, emotions, behavior related to money. And there are several typologies to find on the internet, which all we know is the best source for any kind of information. And that's why I was trying to go with the best one when it comes to scientific terms. And my strong advice comes to Manuscript Inventory by Klontz, who is self-named financial psychologist. The other ones are very inspiring, especially when you're working in marketing or try to create some personas, but they're a little bit like, get out of your fingers, no proof were really done. But not to forget to mention is business bank typology, where it's coming from some data and it's really pointing out to the German data. When we look at Klontz, we are coming from avoidance to diligence, and I will go to the specifics, but really you can put it on like, okay, I really hate money, I think money is evil, to holding on to money because money is something I have to hold on, it's there for saving me, it's there for to have it, just to have it, not even spend it. it's also very much related to risk, where we start being risk unaware, because those are kind of people who didn't have any kind of like financial management basics coming from mostly also from poor families, to risk tolerant, like, okay, money has to be spent, money has to be given, money has to be saved, to very risk avoidant people who, as I said, want to have it. They just don't do anything about it. They even trying not to spend money. And the first type, and I have to say, every kind of typology out there, and I still, after a year and a half of researching, didn't find a typology who wouldn't be really weird, who wouldn't be really extreme. And I'm still looking in those typologies for real normal people who are not like psychopaths, sociopaths, because this points out really much these kind of people. As I said, we started with the avoidance. It's probably one of the people you also know. They are always broke. They get their salary, the next day they are broke. It's not because they are irresponsible. Okay, it is a little bit, but because mostly they didn't have any kind of examples in their lives of being financially aware, of managing the money and thinking about it. They want to get rid of the responsibility. And money is also a manifest of getting rid of the responsibility. Where about status people? I put it as the guy who doesn't pay bills on time or doesn't pay them at all, but drives this big SUV. Or that girl that spends all her income on a Prada bag, shoes, whatever. It's this kind of people who also, which is a little bit more light when you see in your environment, friends environment, who always intend to pay. Like they want to pay. Oh, I take it for all. These are kind of people who are getting for money the love, appreciation, kind of feeling of being respected and loved by people, and showing off, of course. The middle one, it's worshipping money. It's coming from people who really brag about money, how great is money, how they want to have money, how they do everything for money, to the people we probably in the startup environment know a lot, who are talking to you about Bitcoin investing all the time, even you didn't ask. And they actually don't love that much risk, but they love the dopamine kicks it's giving them. It's like, so we know it having likes on Facebook or on Instagram, or somebody liked my thing. This is the same thing for looking at investments. Oh, it made something, I earned like $1 or whatever. And the last one is Diligence. That is probably the aunt you could kill with the question how much she earns. This is really the people, they don't want to talk about money. You insult them with a question like, how much do you earn? How much do you make a year? How much do you even make in your business? A more general question. And it's also because of anxiety and fear for the future. It's where we had the avoidance type. They don't want to have any kind of control. These kind of people want to have control because they're control freaks in every other aspect, or because they are not having enough control in their lives in general, so they put the control of freakness into their money. And now it comes to how, just a short example on how we are applying it, and we are looking at people between 20 and 28, speaking with the people, making a lot of qualitative research and also some verification with the quantitative research. We came to 3 basic personas for our product. And you can place them and understand them also in the psychological point of view or perspective on this kind of typology. Where Philip buys for his money freedom and appreciation, is a little bit vulnerable to overspending. Those are the guys being 25 in their first jobs who spend over 400 euros for the food deliveries. Not a problem. Not very savvy. Not knowing exactly where they spend the money. They tell you a really big structure on how they manage the money, how they invest. But when they have to sum it up, they don't know and they get lost in their own finance. And they're the hobby investors, as I said. But they really have, when it comes to money, the joy and confidence, because this is the first time in their lives they really have money, can really enjoy it, and they're just spending it. That's the main goal. The other part, or the other persona, it's a different story. It's the kind of girl who doesn't have that much money because she's also younger. So she's probably in an internship or a Werkstudent, Praktikanten, whatever. It's prone to underspending because of the fear. She does have this fear, such a big fear that she's like, oh, I'm not going to spend for it because I don't know what happens the next day if I have money for my bills. She checks her online balances and tracks spending very often, once a day, twice a day. Some people state like 3 times a day. When you ask about investing, she's like, oh, no, investing, not a way. How strong the stereotypes still are. I was really surprised. This is a story that doesn't belong to the presentation, but I have a friend from high school which was sitting next to me, which is the reason why I went through high school with maths and this kind of stuff that I don't understand. And she studied to university, works in London for Ernst & Young. She is a senior manager, working there for 11 years. Working in topics like accounting, tax consultancy and stuff like that, finance. I'm sitting with her in the park, Friedrichshain-Park, and we are drinking Prosecco, and I'm like, what do you invest in? Because, I mean, I'm just like, I don't know, investing in somebody my financial consultant tells me. And she's like, no, investing are for men. A girl, 35 years old, working for Ernst & Young as a senior manager tells me that investments are for men. This is how deep it is. And I don't consider myself as being a strong feminist, but this is how fucked up it is. And with this, it's like money is not really enjoyable. It brings up a lot of insecurities. It brings security, but before it's insecurity, and it brings up a lot of anxiety. And when we combine that, it's just one slide, it's really addressing in our product the joy and confidence. People are very strongly reacting to positive messaging, like, oh, you are not only sending me the information how much money went out of my account, but you are also like praising what I did, that I saved €5 more, or that I didn't spend so much for my food delivery. With addressing like, okay, you are doing okay, you don't have to check so often, or we are working on it that you are safe. With the need of responding the German cash problem, we can't ignore it, because even the young people are like, this is a nice idea, but how does it know when I am like, because I'm spending like 50 or 70% of my money in cash? Like how can you track it? Yeah, we have to somehow face it. I can't tell how, but we have to. And data security concerns, of course. I mean, everybody applying for an apartment in Berlin knows what data security is about. Then you have to send all your data by email. But what really, I never saw such a strong reframing in my research before. We went from the observation and the questions, why don't Germans want to pay with a card, to observing the behavior and coming to, okay, this is a need of safety, because control is not really in psychological terms a need, it's a pseudo need. We need safety, we need to be secure. So coming to the task that we are facing right now, and I hope this is another upgrade of this presentation, another upgrade of my research, how do we give the people of the feeling and safety in a digital financial product? And you made it. Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you. So I was just curious if you know how the trust in banks for Germans was before the financial crisis.
It was not really high. They were still very low in it.
Okay.
But it wasn't that bad. They were like somewhere in the middle-ish of all the lists, or yeah. Then yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just behind you.
Hi. I find it really interesting that you say that a lot of Germans don't trust their banks. I used to work in a financial comparison website. And during our research then, we actually found out that the people trusted their banks a lot more than they trusted us.
Yes. That's what I call the research contradictions, and I love people for it. Because, for example, I want to have everything in one place, but I don't give you my data. Typical one. Typical one. And that's not even a German thing, that's all over the world. And this is the thing when it comes to fintechs. Like, I don't trust the bank, or my trust is really low, and I wouldn't recommend anybody my bank, but I trust her when they come up with a fintech. But then you have to go further and like, does it mean that they use the fintech?
They do.
But also very interesting is, and I didn't put it, and I realized afterwards, I think Germans are the most users of PayPal in the world, which is, for example, really interesting because they don't want to do any kind of digital payments, but PayPal is the thing, and PayPal got hacked like, I don't know, a year ago, and nobody is really responding to that. And they tell you also the very nice contradiction, internet banking is safe because it's on my computer, but not safe in my mobile. This is something that we know as people working in IT, it's okay, but it doesn't make any logic because the authentication is there, da da da. So, yeah, people are weird.
Thank you. Anything else? Yep.
Yeah, maybe as a follow-up to the question, because I also thought it's a very interesting finding, like this disparity between the message they don't trust the bank, but also, I mean, they're actually using a lot of these services, especially this Schließfächer, right? So,
yeah.
I was curious about like if you have any more insights in regards to where their comments, like the verbal commentary on it, kind of was in conflict with their behavior, because they use a lot of services, but apparently say they don't trust them. So.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and this is where we are just right on. We were just recently testing, like, what is the initial trust, which is the trust when you're registering to a service, to see what are the data, the real data concerns, or what are the questions they're asking themselves. And what was really interesting, for example, they have the data concerns questions after they register. So they go through the registration, and we put all the way down, like, how do we treat your data, how we don't sell it, da 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 da. Everything was there about the data and the data security, and they were like, not clicking on it, or half of where, and it was qualitative research, so not statistically proven, but they were like, now I would have asked the question about the data. You just connected your bank account. I don't think there is any rational basis for it. Or there is just behavior in different context. I'm still on it.
Maybe some other motives overweight the concerns
but
and come back.
They, for example, do understand, like, okay, this is a bank, or this is a tool that has to help me with my finance. I have to give them my data so it can help me. They do get the idea very quickly. So it's more about, like, how big of a picture do I show them? Do I give them all my accounts, or just one, and see what happens, how they treat really my data, what kind of value they are bringing me? This is a big question that we really have. Like, okay, do we push the people to connect all their bank accounts in the multi-banking feature, or do we let them to do it with the one, show them the first results, and then push them over some time? Because one really interesting feedback was from a girl that we had on a sprint session, and she was like, why are you asking me this question? This is like I'm going on a date, and the guys asked me to marry him. So it's also about the timing. Where do we ask the people to do what? But I didn't answer it, I know.
Then that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a thank you from me and my team as well. Our next meetup will be in April. We'll let you know in our meetup UX Psychology group. So we'll hope to see you all again, and enjoy the last 25 minutes, because at 8 o'clock I'll kick you out, and that's it. Thank you very much.